All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Insight interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine and Pipeline CRM, joining you as usual from San Diego. And today I'm joined by Carl Allen, who is in lovely Lancashire in the UK. How are you doing, Carl?
I'm great, John. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And Carl is the editor of Dealmaker Wealth Society, an entrepreneur, investor, corporate deal maker with almost 3 decades of experience. And he's worked on transactions worth over 48 billion, which includes 330 acquisitions and sales, which is extremely impressive. And what we want to talk about today is another way of getting into self-employment. I mean, most people think, okay, if I'm going to become self-employed, I'm going to have to set up my own business, and what's that going to look like, and what am I going to do? But we're going to talk about how you can buy and then build as a way into self-employment. So Carl, a lot of times when people do think of working for themselves, they think about starting their own business kind of from scratch, right?
Yeah, they do. And for me, it's the craziest thing you can do in your life. It's absolutely crazy. And if you look at the market statistics, they are astonishing. So in 2019, according to the SBA, 6.6 million Americans started a brand new business from scratch, and 96% of them will fail inside of 10 years. 50% will fail inside of the first year alone. And it's no wonder when you think about it. When you start a business from scratch, it's what I call the no problem. You have no customers, no products or services, no cash, no credit, no reputation, nothing. So it's no wonder that it's so difficult to get that business off the ground. What I do every day in my private equity firm, and what I coach 5,000 plus entrepreneurs to do, is instead of starting a business, go buy one, because there's 2.44 million small businesses for sale today in the United States, and only 1 in 11 is going to sell within the next 12 months. So I've created a program that coaches entrepreneurs in how to, first of all, determine what type of business they should buy. Secondly, how to find lots and lots of deals that would fit that requirement. And then how to structure a deal so that you can buy it in some cases without even using your own capital. You can use other people's money to do those deals. And this process, the fancy term for it is called an LBO, a leveraged buyout. And that's what I learned as a Wall Street investment banker back in the day, and obviously was applying that to billions of dollars worth of deals that you referenced. What I've done is made a turnkey product that can work with a small business with revenues between $1 and maximum $10 million.
Right. So when somebody works with you, let's talk about analyzing the types of businesses. So, I mean, for somebody listening or watching this, maybe they're not aware of the types of businesses that they could purchase.
Yeah, so I'll answer that in 2 questions. Yeah. So the first part is, the perfect business for me is going to be very different to the perfect business for you. Sure. So you've got to start out with knowing exactly what type of business you want to buy, and more importantly, why. So the what is simply, for your first deal, just stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. So if you're a sales guy, IBM, go buy an IT company. Don't buy a laundromat or a gas station or a vineyard. Buy something that you understand, you're passionate about, and you can add value to, both in terms of your skills, experiences, and then also in terms of the network that you can plug into that business. And then the second thing is to really understand your why, because that gives you the fuel to kind of follow through and get it done. And our whys are all different. For some people, it could just be wealth creation. For others, it could be legacy. For some, it could be work-life balance. It could be pride. It could be freedom. It doesn't matter what it is. Once you've dialed those 2 in, then there's tons of places to get deal flow. You can go to business brokers. You can directly approach businesses. I teach my students how to do that. Building networks is also a massive, massive thing to do. If you're a small business owner and you've decided that you're ready to sell your business, there's four people that you tell. You tell your CPA, your attorney, your wealth manager, and you tell your bank or financier that's inside of the deal with you. So as deal makers, what we do is we build local networks of those professionals, and then they send us deals.
Right.
So that's a method that we that we teach in our program. And then once you've found deals, then it's a numbers game. You can't really just pick one random deal and expect it to close. In some cases you can, but it's like real estate. You might have to look at 10 houses before you buy the one you love. It's the same with businesses. And you need to find a combination of the right business, the right seller, and a business that's got some financial assets or cash flows that you can use to essentially get the financing to allow you to buy it. And if you find a business that's worth $1 million, if you've got $1 million sat in the bank, great, go spend it. But what we teach is how you can buy that business using other people's money. So having partners, raising capital like through the SBA, even paying the seller for the business over an extended period of time.
Yeah. And what are some of the things that you look at when you look at a business, to buy a business? What are some of the fundamental things that need to be in place to make it attractive?
Sure. So for me, it has to be profitable. I'm looking for at least a 10% profit margin. So it's got to have income and cash flow. I'm looking for businesses that I know I can scale. And that's quite easy, because what's interesting is 80% of the businesses I look at, and I probably speak to between 10 and 20 sellers every single week, is most of them do little to no marketing, especially baby boomers. They generate their revenues through word of mouth referrals and repeat customers buying. And those are great businesses, because that tells you have a very solid reputational business. But when I jump in there and I put my marketing systems in place, I know I can scale that business quite quickly over and above what is a pretty solid base. So I don't want businesses that are doubling their revenues year on year. They're going to be worth a lot of money. I want businesses that are just steady and are not growing as much as they used to, because at the end of the day, the business is a reflection of the owner. If the owner wants to retire, they want to slow down, they're burnt out, frustrated, bored, whatever, you tend to see that reflected in the business that they own. So that's ideally what I'm looking for, kind of at a high level. And then once we've agreed terms on a deal, I'll use a CPA and a lawyer to effectively handle all of the due diligence for me. And then they'll go through that deal really with a fine tooth comb and make sure that I'm buying a business that's safe to do.
Yeah. And then how do you prepare the entrepreneurs, the people that you work with? Because if you're somebody who's been employed for a long time and you've decided, okay, I want to go out on my own, and buying a business, sounds like a good idea. How do you prepare them for the reality of actually owning and running your own business?
Yeah. So the first part, so it all starts with mindset. Yeah. So the very first thing we do in our training, which sounds a bit weird, is we take them through some mindset training, because a lot of people that are self-employed or employed in a full-time role, they'll have a limiting belief, and they'll have a story that they're telling themselves that, I can't be a business owner, I can't work for myself. And that's what holds most people back. And that's another reason why a lot of startups fail. Owners they just don't believe in themselves. So, we deal with that straight away to give them that belief system that they can actually do this. And then we take them through the process really in two big stages. So stage one, obviously, is acquiring the business. And a big part of that is, building the relationships with the sellers and the other people inside of the deal. As an individual buying a business, you have to position yourself as a safe, trusted pair of hands.
Right.
You need to find a seller that doesn't want to sell to a larger competitor that's probably going to rip the business apart and get rid of all the employees, which a lot of trade buyers do. They want somebody that is really safe and will honor the legacy that the seller's built and really cherish what's going on in the business. So we take them through all that. And then once they've built the business, once they've bought the business, and then there's really kind of two options. Some deal makers will do deals and they don't want to run the businesses. They want to be owner investors. So they want to be like me. They want to have a portfolio, or they want to buy businesses in locations where they don't live. So if they live in Boston and they want to buy a business in, say, Los Angeles, unless they're going to move there, it's going to be hard for them really to go in and run that business. If it's a brick and mortar business, if it's an online business, it's different. So we take them through that question. Do you want to be an owner investor, or do you want to be an owner manager? And there's no right or wrong answer. Some people want to get into a business, roll their sleeves up, and they want to run it day to day and work in that business. Others, they don't. They want to work on the business remotely, strategically, a bit like a chairman of the board, if you will.
Right.
And then depending on what they want to do, we have training that essentially takes them through that. So we teach them about leadership. We teach them about marketing. We teach them about financials. We teach them about systems. We teach them about accountability and culture and what it really takes to create a truly world-class business. People think world-class businesses are billion-dollar companies like Apple and Google and Amazon. They don't have to be. You can have a world-class business that's doing $1 million in revenues. I own a bunch of them.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think, and to be honest, in some ways, you tend to have more of those in many ways because of the level of service and attention to the business that they provide or that they invest. Just in another question is, then how do you help them in the early days? Particularly if you're going to be an owner operator, right? It's very easy to get overwhelmed, to get pulled in many directions, to get distracted, to basically get overwhelmed in the early days of running your own business. How do you prepare people for that and make sure that they stay focused?
Sure. So what we try and do is we have them, and sometimes this is difficult. We have them have a number two in the business pretty much straight away, so that they can delegate a lot of the day-to-day operational work, the tactical work, the working in the business, so they can become more of the kind of visionary, the strategist, and work more on the business. So they can create the systems and the strategies that are really going to move the needle and take it forward. So what we try and do, and often new business owners, they tend to resist a lot of this until they do get so overwhelmed, and then they know they've got to make the change. We want to elevate them more into that strategic role, and really, being the CEO of that business, which, you can be the CEO of $1 million business. You don't have to have $1 billion company, to call yourself a CEO. And the CEO is the person that's got the vision, that knows the strategy and knows how to lead the team, knows how to orchestrate the systems and the processes in the business, knows how to read the financials. And I'm not just talking about income statements and balance sheets. I'm talking about the optics in the business. I look at a CEO, whether it's a $1 million company or a $1 billion company, a bit like an airline pilot. If you're an airline pilot, you're in the cockpit. There's really four things you really need to know: my altitude, my bearing, my speed, and how much fuel have I got. And in business, it's the same. We teach our business owners to really understand what those critical optics are, so that they can avoid their business, getting into any danger.
Yeah, because it's interesting, isn't it, that one of the things that people sometimes don't understand that well is the whole concept of cash flow. Because obviously in a lot of businesses you can be selling, but it doesn't mean you're collecting the money in a timely manner. It's coming in. Sometimes small businesses tend to fall victim to larger businesses who think they can not pay them as quickly as they need to. So I guess that's probably one of the things that you focus on a lot, is really teaching people how to manage cash flow and making sure that their cash flow projections are adequate.
Absolutely. And we go even further than that, and we break down what cash flow really is. There's there's three types of cash flow in a business. You've got operating cash flow, you've got investing cash flow, and you've got financing cash flow. And a lot of business owners think their profit is their cash, and it's not. If you rock up at a restaurant with your wife and they give you the check, you can't pull out a balance sheet and say, there you go, I'm going to pay you with my retained profits. Sure. It doesn't work like that. Profit is an accounting term. Cash and cash flow is what's truly real, and helping them manage that cash flow and also using it as fuel and as working capital for growth. It's a really big area that's not very well understood or taught in this world. So we're huge on that.
Yeah, and I would say that that's exactly the issue, as you said, with those frightening statistics about how many small businesses go out of business. I'd say that's probably one of the number one issues there. And then how do you manage expectations? Because this is another thing that I've come across in the past is people sometimes, they get very enthusiastic and optimistic and they expect things to happen a lot faster than they do. And generally speaking, things take a little bit longer and you have to plan for that.
Yeah. So when it comes to doing a deal, it's really a 90-day process. You've got to raise capital. There's a legal process you've got to go through. Financiers will want to negotiate terms as well. You've obviously got to find the deals. You've got to filter them. You've got to have meetings and build relationships. So end to end, it's about a 90-day process. We designed it for people to do it part-time because they've obviously, most of the students that we work with, they're in a full-time role and they obviously have families as well. For people that aren't doing anything else, you can do deals a lot faster. It just depends on how much time that you want to deploy to it. Business buying is a very lucrative game, but it takes effort and it takes mastery and it takes dedication. So it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Some people think, they can watch some videos on YouTube, make a couple of calls, and, they're $1 million business owner in 10 minutes. It takes time. Like anything in life, anything in life that's meaningful and rewarding takes discipline, it takes commitment, it takes some mastery of some skills and tools, and it takes time. But if you apply all those, then it can be a very rewarding, very, very fulfilling thing to do. And I'm not just talking about financially. I'm talking about the intangible benefits, like freedom. Like I'm working from home today, and I own lots and lots of different businesses that are running without me being there. Right. And I've spent quite a bit of time with my family today. I've been hiking. I've been to the gym with my son. I'm going to go and get my tractor mower out of my shed in a while and go mow my 2-acre garden. I can do all that stuff. But it does need some work. I won't, I'm not going to sugarcoat that.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, you didn't get to where you are overnight. And I think that's part of the, obviously the hard work that you need to put in and things like resilience. So what would you just say in conclusion here? What are some of the personal traits that successful people need to have, do you think?
So the first thing I would say is you've got to have a purpose. And this applies to anything. It can apply to losing weight, building relationships with your family, making more money in your job, buying a business. It's all about your purpose and your why. So really understanding, why do you want this? And I've talked about it previously. It could be freedom, it could be wealth creation. A lot of people that, they might be earning 6 figures in a full-time role, but they probably don't spend enough time with their family. They're unhealthy. They're not really fulfilled. They're successful, but they're not fulfilled. So it's combining those two together and making sure that, you have a truly balanced life. You've got time for your family. You've got time for your health. You've got time for your friends. You've got time to do other things. And buying and owning a business or multiple businesses gives you that freedom to be able to do that. So, rule number one for me is really, really have a purpose and a defined why for why you want to do something. My second rule would be never stop learning.
Right.
I've been a deal maker for 28 years, and I'm still learning. I read 3-4 books a week. I'm constantly innovating and learning because mastery never ends. There's I'm not the best in the world at what I do. I'm one of the best in the world, but I'm not the best. I will constantly continue to innovate and strive to be even better every single day. Better as a business buyer, better as a father, better as a husband, better as everything, better as a coach. So absolutely, keep learning and truly have a purpose for what you want in your life. It gives you unbelievable fuel to follow through.
I think that's extremely sage advice to anybody who is looking to buy a business or not, or in whatever you're doing today. I think too many people don't ever ask themselves what the purpose is, what their purpose is, why they're doing what they're doing. Some people tend to end up just going through the motions or doing what they think is expected of them, and that doesn't lead to fulfillment in the long run.
Absolutely, we only have one life, John. Make it a masterpiece. Make it the craziest, most incredible life that you can dream of. It's doable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100% agree with you. Listen, Carl, this has been fantastic. Carl Allen of the Dealmaker Wealth Society. All of Carl's information will be in his contributor bio below this video. But before we go, please do tell people a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I buy, grow, and sell $1 to $10 million businesses in the UK, US, Canada, and Australia. So I own a private equity fund called Prox Capital Group with my business partner, Adam. And then I train and coach over 5,500 entrepreneurs all over the world that are looking to either buy their first business or buy additional businesses inside of a business that they already own. Aside from that, I'm a Freemason. I spend a lot of time with charity. I'm doing 75 Hard at the moment, which is an incredible program for fitness and mindset by Andy Frisella. I'm on day 19 of 75. I've already dropped 14 pounds in nearly 20 days. So I'm really, really enjoying that. I live in an estate in the middle of the Lancashire countryside. I have 2 boys. One is 23, lives in Australia. My youngest son, Josh, lives here with me and my wife. And I love my life. I have real purpose and passion in what I want to do, and I love serving. I love giving back. I love coaching people. I love sharing how I do business. What are my values and beliefs, and how that translates into being a deal maker. And I love it when people adopt those philosophies and follow my lead and get incredible results for themselves. That's the thing in life that makes me the most proud.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, listen, that's extremely motivating for anybody who's listening. You just described, your life and your success. So I would encourage people to check out the Dealmaker Wealth Society and check out more about Carl. Listen, Carl, thanks you very much for joining me today. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP Online Sales Magazine and Pipeliner CRM. I'll see you all for another expert interview really soon. Thank you.
Thank you.